Hello everyone and welcome to a new basic video about symbols. Symbols are the stuff you get when you are going for your provinces and to the bastions. Bastions are unlocked in order, following this path. You do quests to unlock them. You can skip with stims or just do the quest. To get everything you need to do it on every province and on every bastion. So let's go over to what they actually are. We will do it like this. Now in this video I will explain what the symbols do and what the symbols are possibly useful for. But just speaking about the symbol itself, not a certain combination. I will do another video where it goes about solo and looking at the aspect of what to set up for a single target and against AoE crowd. This is what could be important for you if you are looking for a possible setup. So after that it will also be a video about the divine symbols, and there will be videos where I go for group setups and will tell you what is good for what kind of classes. But I will put them together in support, tank, and DD. So, without further ado, let's just start right ahead. The first thing we are seeing here are the Emblems of Pain. Emblems are procced when you are attacking an enemy and he takes enough damage, so it's a chance that it procs while you're damaging them. Basically works as a pickup. You pick them up and you can throw them at the enemy. Up to 3 times you can store and throw. It can be useful, but it's rarely used because it's too much hassle to collect and throw. The next thing that we have here, and this is often used by the melees, it's the Emblems of Destruction. They work also as pickups, but if you pick them up they instantly explode in a 10-meter radius, which can be cool for melee to increase the damage output because they get more extra oomph of it. For ranged classes it's not as great, although they can use it while they are dashing in, but at the most time different stuff will be better for them. So we have the Emblems of Speed. The Emblems of Speed allow you to nearly endless dash while you're picking them up. It's cool since it will allow you to get distances done if you need to, but it is rarely used. The next things are the Emblems of Mercy. Emblems of Mercy heal the most wounded ally by 5% health. If you're alone, of course you're your only ally, so you get healed. The next thing is the Emblems of Protection. Emblems of Protection are there for giving you a shield when you pick them up, and this is pretty useful if you're a tank or you have a really tough fight where you get hit relatively often. So the next thing is going over to the emergency maneuvers. The emergency maneuvers get triggered when you get attacked. Wait, wrong. When you attack, you get a chance to have this empowered dash state, and this empowered dash state allows you to do something, like you dash for free and you get a special effect. So this is the emergency maneuver trap. Trap allows you to place a trap, as the name implies, on the point where you've been standing before you dash that deals damage on contact with enemies. It's not as great since the damage is relatively low and it's rarely used despite other things. The next thing is Shockwave. Shockwave is saying you are dashing and then you deal damage, but you deal damage not as a trap, but as a shockwave that travels forward in the direction you are looking while you are dashing. Damage also not as great. The next thing is emergency maneuver dodge. Dodge allows you to get immune to damage and control effects when you are in this empowered state for 4 seconds. It's relatively useful when you are about to get, oh shit, I need to dodge this or this. It's really useful, and in most situations the best thing you can use. The next thing is breakout. Breakout works as other symbols. You dash and don't consume something, and all enemies around you get stunned, like 3 seconds. The downside here is that many things can't be stunned, so it doesn't work on the most dangerous enemies, so it's not as useful. The next thing is improved mobility. It increases your stamina by 25% and your dash distance by the same. It doesn't apply to special dashes though. The next thing is the Divine Intervention. Divine Intervention shields you with 4 seconds immunity to damage and negative effects for 4 seconds. This is really useful if you are in a fight where you are getting huge hits, but they are not occurring often, or you are sure you get hit not that often, because it has a 70 second cooldown. So it's only useful if you are not getting hit too often. The next thing is Protective Shell. Every time you lose 10% health, you gain an effect that reduces damage on you for 40 seconds and 6 second duration. The downside is it will not be ongoing if you are not losing 10% health again and again and again. It is useful to mitigate damage that is like at the medicore range, where you think, okay, I get about 11% health damage or something, and now this damage gets reduced to 7. This is really great and will help your survivability in such cases. And it's often used when you are about to get damaged no matter what, for a decent high amount of damage again and again and again. The next thing is Adaption. Adaption works like every time you take damage, no matter what big or how high the damage is, and you get a stack. When you're at 10 stacks, you have 25% damage reduction. The plus side here is that you don't need to take any big damage to keep it up. So if you get 0.5 damage health damage, no problem. You are keeping your stack and don't need, like here, 10% all the time. So this one is also useful for a tank situation or for fights where you get on a constant low damage. The next thing is Rising from the Dead. Rising from the Dead will once per fight allow you to get up again when you died for 25 seconds and fight again, but you only have 30% health. And if you die after that, you are gone. If you stay alive after the fight and no aggro is there, before the 25 seconds run out, you stay alive. It's not as useful because if something already killed you, it will likely kill you again. The next thing is homeostasis. Works like this: you lose 10% health and you generate a health orb that only you can pick up. So the thing is, the more damage you take, the less efficient it is. Like normally, you lose 10% health and you are generating a health orb. Now you pick it up and you're full again. You're back at 100. But the next time you get damage, that is 20% your health. You pick up 2 health globes, but you will only be healed for 60%. So you have lost 4%. And this will continue getting worse the more health you are missing through. So it's not as great. Also, it denies you the use of normal health orbs. So if you are trying to pick up the healing orbs from a boss that is dropped when he takes a certain amount of damage, you can't do it when you have this symbol. It's not as useful. It was useful at some times, but it isn't anymore. The next thing here in the middle is Pain Shock. Pain Shock allows you to give you an effect when you press E that stuns a target and deals a medicore amount of damage. The next thing is Reflective Barrier, also on E. It puts you in a kinda shell where you can't move or it will abort, and when you're in that for 8 seconds, you can't get damaged. But you're still vulnerable to crowd control effects. So if you get stunned or feared or pushed, you will get thrown out of your barrier and you will be taking damage again. It can be useful for tanks sometimes to give them a bigger time window when they have something on cooldown or need to tank a certain big attack. That it will not CC them, but it will take big damage. Next thing is Protective Dome. When you use it, you're forced to stand still or it will abort, and it creates an area around you where 60% less damage is dealt to your allies. It can be good at some situations, especially for supports, but it's not as great since the immobilizing effect makes it that your support can't do anything else. So next thing we have here is Wave. Wave allows you to just use it and deal AoE damage to something around you and slows them. It's not as good because damage is low and the slow effect isn't really strong. The next thing is Haunted Technique. This is one of the things that will mostly get used for it, for the most classes, because it enhances the chance of proccing a class ability. Like the left click on the Groove Walker allows you to increase the damage and reduce the cooldown on your 2. If you're using this, the chance to get it is certainly higher. There will be also the discussion between the Protective Dome and the Haunted Technique for supports, but often supports have also skills that proc on chances, which will mean that we have a more useful setup for using Haunted Technique than the Protective Dome, because Protective Dome, as said, binds you to one place. Okay, this was that. So next thing are the modes for your companion. The companion attack is always triggered when your discharge is going off. The discharge is this thing when you are looking at your health bar and it's on the right side. You see your dashes. When you dash, and over the dashes there is this lightning thing. This is your companion charge. If you are discharging this companion charge, something happens. And here it is piercing formation. It allows you to just kinda let the companion shoot rapidly for 3 seconds, inflicting a total damage of X, depending on your might and stuff. It's not as great since the damage on itself is not really good. The next thing is defense mode. Instead of attacking, the companion will give you effect that reduces damage to you by 50%. This is relatively good for a tanking class since it can be used to make targets deal way less damage to you. The next thing is the support mode. Support mode works as that when your attack is going off, you will pick a random ally around you in 20 meters range that gets the damage boosted by 20%. If nothing is in range of you, you will just boost your damage yourself. The next thing is the Berserker mode. It will put the companion to attack again and will do a way bigger amount of damage, but it doesn't attack what you attack, it will attack random targets. So it's not that good, especially if you want your damage to go into just one target and you have multiple enemies around. The next thing is random attack. You get an attack that hits everything that is in a straight line forward from you and inflict damage. It's not a bad thing to do if you want to use the offensive thing, since the enemy you are attacking will probably most time right before you will hit him with it, and it will reliably do a good amount of damage. So let's go over the things that will be most likely useful for you. This will be the defense mode or the support mode. when you're solo, you can use support mode to boost your own damage, and when you need tankiness, you can use the defense mode to survive stuff. So, the next thing is the special weapon stuff. I call it like that because every time you attack with a special weapon, with the symbols, you are using an energy discharge. This energy discharge triggers a special effect. For this one, the sudden effect, it will work just as a damage boost. But there is a clue to it, and this is not really described in the symbol. There should be or when they end with there's an energy discharge, because you can also inflict your damage normally with your normal attacks, but then there are special conditions to it. Like when we're doing with sudden attack, the first strike every 30 seconds will give the bonus damage from the energy discharge and the bonus effects applied to it. So this is useful if you have a really short fight, because it will trigger immediately when you are using the first attack on the target and trigger it. The next thing is the Crushing Aura. The Crushing Aura works as same before with the special weapon or the divine weapon to discharge it, and also on your normal attacks. What your normal attacks, of course, just has a chance to do it, and the bonus here is as long as you are a support and someone is in your support aura, they will have this effect applied to them too. So, like say you are a Lightbinder and next to you is the outlaw with a sudden attack. So he will have the effect of the sudden attack and the Crushing Aura. So at that he will trigger it at the first second of the fight, and he will trigger it on a chance in between because of the Crushing Aura. The next thing is reactive materials. When you get attacked, you have a chance to proc this special energy discharge towards the enemy. That's it. The next thing is a Sharp Rebuff. Sharp Rebuff reacts to crowd control effects like slowing, fears, whatever. But it will only respond to these effects every 8 seconds. And here we have Awaken of Power. It has no special condition, but it will start as a high cooldown, like 40 seconds, and will go down to 8 seconds when the fight progresses longer than 2 minutes. This is a great thing for longer and drag it out fights. So, and the last symbols are centered around the energy discharges that happened through those symbols before. Every time an energy discharge with condition of the symbol before occurs, you get an extra effect from this last symbol. The first symbol will be Chain of Destruction, which applies an AoE effect up to 6 targets that deals damage. The next thing is Collapse. Collapse uses a bleeding effect on the enemy at time over effect, a time damage over time effect on the enemy, and deals damage. This is good for single target. The next thing we have is Block. Block allows you to stun a target for 2 seconds when they get this energy discharge. It is useful for PvP, I guess, but it's not as great when it comes to the mobs, because they rarely have a thing for stuns if they are a boss or elite. The next thing is the Black Mark. The Black Mark allows you to put an effect on the enemy, and while this effect is on the enemy, it will kind of remembers the damage you dealt in the time and will deal that amount of damage to the target when it's over. But its max damage can't exceed 15% of your health. So it's not as useful as long as you aren't a class with a big health pool. So it mainly can be used by either melee classes or if you're a god. The next thing is Stolen Energy. Stolen Energy allows you to create a shield around yourself with 8% of your max HP as a value. This is a great thing for tanks since it can allow them to constantly give them more survivability through the shield. Okay, this pretty much covers normal symbols. I hope I could explain something to you that helped you understand the whole thing better, and see you around.